humiliation burned deeper than any wound Isadora Lewis had ever known. She stood in the employee corridor of Zahara Palace, her cleaning uniform still damp with perspiration, while the general manager delivered the words that would shatter her carefully constructed world. Fired, effective immediately. No explanation beyond vague corporate language about maintaining professional standards and avoiding conflicts of interest. The envelope in her hand contained 2 weeks' severance and the death of everything she'd worked for. Outside, the Beverly Hills sunset painted the sky in shades of gold and crimson, mocking her with its beauty. Isadora's hands trembled as she stuffed the envelope into her worn backpack, years of calluses rough against the paper. She'd scrubbed these floors for 18 months, racing between here and her nursing classes at East LA Community College, surviving on 4 hours of sleep and the fierce determination that caring for others was her only path forward. Now, even that was gone. "Miss Lewis?" The voice was cultured, accented, unmistakable. Emir Khalid al-Saif stood at the corridor's entrance, his tailored suit worth more than she'd earned in a year, his dark eyes fixed on her with an intensity that made her stomach twist. "I had nothing to do with this," he said, taking a step closer. Isadora laughed, bitter and sharp. "Of course you didn't. You just showed up night after night watching me work, leaving $100 bills I refused to touch. You think I don't know how this looks?" A Middle Eastern billionaire and the Latina housekeeper. She shouldered past him toward the exit. "In your world, money fixes everything. In mine, all we have is courage." The parking lot air was thick with jasmine and exhaust fumes. Behind her, she heard his footsteps stop. "Let me help you," Khalid called out. She didn't turn around. "I don't need rescue. I need justice." 3 days passed like a slow-motion catastrophe. Isadora spent the first day updating her resume at the East LA Public Library, the fluorescent lights buzzing overhead while she rewrote "cleaning specialist" into more professional language. The second day brought 17 job applications and 0 responses. By the third day, her phone vibrated with a text from her brother Lucas that stopped her heart. "Marina's in the ER, motorcycle accident. They need payment before the CT scan." The county hospital emergency room was chaos incarnate. Screaming children, elderly patients on gurneys in hallways, the sharp antiseptic smell mixing with human fear. Isadora found Marina in a corner bed, her 14-year-old sister's face pale except for the bruise blooming across her left temple. "It wasn't her fault," Lucas said immediately, his 19-year-old face creased with guilt. "I borrowed the delivery bike for my music gig. She just wanted to ride along." The attending physician, a tired woman in her 40s, explained the situation with practiced efficiency. Possible concussion. Needed immediate imaging. Insurance wouldn't cover the full cost. They required $1,500 up front. $1,500. Isadora had $432 in her checking account. She stood in the hallway outside Marina's curtain, phone in hand, pride warring with desperation. The contact she'd sworn never to use glowed on her screen. Emir Khalid al-Saif. Her thumb hovered over the number. Marina's voice filtered through the curtain. "Is Isa angry at me?" "No, Mija," Lucas said softly. "She's just scared." Isadora closed her eyes and pressed dial. He answered on the first ring. "I need your help," she said without preamble. "My sister's hurt. I know what this means. I know what you'll think. But right now, I don't care about my pride." Silence stretched across the line. Then, "Where are you?" Khalid arrived at County Hospital in 23 minutes, though he lived in Malibu. Isadora watched from the ER entrance as a sleek black Mercedes pulled into the ambulance bay, ignoring the posted signs. He emerged wearing dark jeans and a white button-down, looking simultaneously out of place and completely in command. No entourage, no security detail, just him. "Take me to her," he said simply. Something about his directness caught her off guard. No questions about repayment, no subtle reminders of the power dynamic. He simply followed her through the maze of hallways to Marina's corner. The attending physician's demeanor transformed instantly upon seeing Khaled, though whether from his obvious wealth or the quiet authority he projected, Isadora couldn't tell. Within minutes, Marina was being wheeled to radiology. The payment was handled with a single phone call. Isadora stood in the empty corridor, suddenly exhausted. "Thank you," she managed. Khaled leaned against the wall beside her, maintaining careful distance. I grew up watching my mother negotiate hospital systems in 3 countries for my younger sister. It teaches you things money shouldn't have to fix. She studied his profile, the sharp jawline, the faint scar above his left eyebrow, the way his shoulders carried tension like armor. "Why are you really helping me?" she asked. He turned to face her fully. "Because when you told me no that first night, you were the first person in 5 years to treat me like I was capable of hearing it. Because you fixed an electrical problem with electrical tape and steady hands while everyone else panicked. Because..." He paused. "Because you're real." "Real?" Isadora repeated. "That's a funny word for someone whose life is falling apart. Reality isn't about perfection. It's about truth." His eyes held hers. "And you've never lied to me. Not once." Marina's CT scan came back clear, but the attending physician recommended overnight observation. Lucas had left to cover his shift at the recording studio where he worked part-time, leaving Isadora alone with Marina in a semi-private room. Her sister slept fitfully, the hospital monitors beeping their steady rhythm. Through the window, Los Angeles sprawled beneath them, millions of lights marking millions of lives. Isadora's phone buzzed, a text from an unknown number. "There's coffee and food in the family lounge, 3rd floor. Take care of yourself too. K." She found the lounge empty except for 2 large bags from a nearby Mediterranean restaurant. Chicken shawarma, hummus, pita bread still warm. A thermos of Arabic coffee with cardamom, the scent transporting her instantly to childhood memories of her mother's kitchen, the radio playing Egyptian pop songs while Maria Elena Lewis danced and cooked. Her mother had died of breast cancer 3 years ago. Isadora had been 24, suddenly responsible for 2 grieving teenagers and a mountain of medical debt. The nursing program had been her mother's dream for her. "You have healing hands, Mija. Don't waste them." Now those hands held the coffee Khaled had sent, and she hated how much the gesture moved her. Her phone buzzed again. This time, Lucas. "Isa, the studio manager wants to offer me an internship. Recording engineering, paid position. Did you tell anyone about my music?" Isadora stared at the message. She'd mentioned Lucas's musical aspirations to exactly one person outside their family. She typed back, "Congratulations, you earned it." But she wondered. Downstairs in the hospital lobby, Khaled sat in his car, watching the 3rd-floor windows. His phone displayed an email from his business manager questioning the $30,000 transfer to a Los Angeles recording studio's scholarship fund. He didn't respond. Some investments weren't about returns. The gossip site published the story 3 days after Marina's discharge. Dubai Prince's secret romance. Billionaire heir spotted with East LA. Housekeeper. The headline was accompanied by a grainy photo taken outside County Hospital, Khaled's hand on Isadora's shoulder in what the article described as an intimate gesture. In reality, he'd been steadying her when she'd stumbled from exhaustion. Context, as always, was the first casualty of spectacle. Isadora discovered it when reporters began camping outside her apartment building in Boyle Heights. 3 different news vans. A tabloid journalist offering $5,000 for an exclusive interview. Neighbors staring. Mrs. Rodriguez from downstairs asking pointed questions about that rich Arab man. Lucas called from campus, where classmates had recognized him from the background of one photo. Marina texted from school, asking if she should talk to the counselor who'd pulled her aside, just to chat. The walls were closing in. Isadora's phone rang. "Khaled, I'm handling it," he said before she could speak. "My legal team is issuing cease and desist orders. The photos were taken without consent. We can shut this down." "How?" Isadora demanded. "By making me invisible again? By proving I'm not worth the attention?" Her voice cracked. "You destroyed my peace, Khaled. You came into my life and everything fell apart. That's not fair." "Fair?" She laughed wildly. "Nothing about this is fair. You get to go back to your Malibu compound and your international business deals. I get to explain to my 14-year-old sister why strangers are taking our picture at the grocery store." Silence stretched between them. "What do you want me to do?" he asked quietly. "Leave me alone. Let me rebuild my life without you in it." She ended the call before he could respond, before the tears could overwhelm her. Outside her window, the news vans waited like vultures. Khaled al-Saif was accustomed to solving problems with money, influence, or strategic thinking. None of those tools worked when the problem was his own heart. He sat in his Malibu study, floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the Pacific, trying to focus on the quarterly reports for his international investment portfolio. The numbers blurred. All he could see was Isadora's face in the hospital corridor, the way exhaustion had carved shadows beneath her eyes, the fierce, protective love she carried for her siblings. His phone displayed her last message, "Leave me alone." His business partner, Rashid, had called it an unnecessary distraction. His family's advisor suggested a carefully worded public statement denying any romantic involvement. Simple. Clean. Protecting the Al Saif reputation as they'd protected it for generations. But Khaled remembered the words Isadora had spoken in the Zahara Palace parking lot. "In your world, money fixes everything." She'd been right. 5 years ago, his fiancée Layla had chosen a politically advantageous marriage over their relationship. He'd sworn off love, convincing himself that emotion was weakness, that control was the only reliable currency. He'd built walls so high that even he couldn't see over them anymore. Then Isadora Lewis had looked at him and said, "No, thank you." She'd refused his money, his influence, his carefully constructed distance. She'd been angry and honest and heartbreakingly real. She'd shown him that courage wasn't about power. It was about showing up vulnerable and refusing to apologize for your humanity. And he'd repaid her by making her life a media circus. His assistant knocked softly. "Sir, you have the international conference in 2 hours. The speech is prepared." Khaled looked at the prepared remarks. 15 pages of carefully crafted corporate language about global investment strategies and emerging markets. Safe, professional, meaningless. He picked up a pen and began to write something entirely different. The Los Angeles Convention Center was packed with business leaders, investors, and journalists from 43 countries. Emir Khaled Al Saif took the stage to polite applause, his prepared speech loaded on the teleprompter. Camera lights glared. In the front row, Rashid nodded encouragingly, expecting the usual performance of corporate excellence. Khaled looked at the teleprompter for a long moment. Then he set his notes aside. "Good afternoon," he began, his accented English clear and deliberate. "I'm supposed to talk about investment strategies today, about capital allocation and risk management, about the future of international finance." He paused. "Instead, I want to talk about what I learned from a woman who works 3 jobs and still finds time to care for her family." The room went utterly silent. "I came to this country believing that wealth was the ultimate measure of worth, that control was strength, that emotion was weakness to be managed and contained." His hands gripped the podium. "And then I met someone who showed me that dignity doesn't come from bank accounts or family names. It comes from how you treat people when no one is watching, from whether you have the courage to be honest, even when honesty costs you everything." Cameras flashed. Journalists began typing furiously. "I've spent 5 years hiding behind walls, convinced that protecting myself from feeling was the same as being strong. But real strength isn't about control. It's about being brave enough to be vulnerable, to admit when you're wrong, to fight for what matters, even when the odds are impossible." In the back of the convention hall, standing behind the press section, Isadora Lewis froze. She'd come to watch because Lucas had texted her the live stream link with the message, "You need to see this." "I'm not going to name names," Khaled continued, "because the person I'm speaking about deserves privacy and respect. But if she's listening, I want her to know, you taught me that love isn't about rescue or transaction. It's about seeing someone completely and choosing them anyway." The speech went viral within 20 minutes. Dubai prints trended globally. News outlets dissected every word. Social media erupted with speculation, support, criticism, and countless reaction videos. The story transformed from tabloid gossip into something larger, a narrative about power, privilege, and what it means to acknowledge your own failures publicly. Isadora watched the convention hall empty from her position near the back exit, security staff beginning to clear the press section. Her heart hammered against her ribs. Part of her wanted to run, to disappear back into anonymity, the safer part. But her mother's voice echoed in her memory. "Running from truth never made anyone free, Mija." She waited in the parking garage, sitting on the concrete barrier near where the VIP vehicles were staged. The November evening air carried hints of approaching rain. Around her, Los Angeles hummed with its usual chaos. Traffic, sirens, the distant sound of a street musician's guitar. 40 minutes later, Khalid emerged from a service entrance, surrounded by a small security team. His tie was loosened, exhaustion evident in his posture. He was scanning his phone when he looked up and saw her. He froze. They stared at each other across 30 feet of parking garage, and Isadora felt the weight of every moment since that first night at Zahara Palace. The refusal, the hospital, the media storm, the walls they'd both built and broken. She stood slowly. "You made me part of your story without asking permission," she said, her voice echoing slightly in the concrete space. "I know." Khaled dismissed his security team with a gesture, walking toward her alone. "I'm sorry. I thought public acknowledgement would fix things, that being honest would somehow make it right. Honesty without consent is just another kind of control." She crossed her arms. "You stood on that stage and told the world about us. But you never asked me what I wanted." He stopped several feet away, respecting the distance. "What do you want?" Isadora took a deep breath, gathering the words she'd been rehearsing since leaving the convention hall. "I want you to understand that I'm not a lesson you learned. I'm not a redemption arc or a teaching moment about humility." Her hands were steady now, her voice clear. "I'm a 27-year-old woman who's been taking care of her family since she was 24, who works multiple jobs and goes to school at night because that's what survival looks like, who's terrified that one wrong move will destroy everything I've built." Khaled listened without interrupting, his dark eyes never leaving her face. "When you came into my life, you didn't just disrupt my carefully constructed stability. You made me feel things I'd convinced myself I couldn't afford to feel. Hope, possibility. The idea that maybe someone could see me, really see me, and not just see someone to save or someone to use. I do see you," he said quietly. "That's the problem. I see someone so brave and honest that standing next to you makes me feel like I've been sleepwalking for 5 years." "Then stay awake," Isadora challenged. "Don't retreat back into your walls because this is hard. Don't decide I'm too complicated or too real or too different from your world. Different from my world." Khaled stepped closer, careful and deliberate. "Isadora, you are more real than any world I've ever inhabited. You're more honest than every business deal I've negotiated. You're more courageous than every calculated risk I've taken." Rain began to fall, light drops on the parking garage's open edges, the sound creating a gentle percussion against concrete. "I don't want to be rescued," Isadora said. "I don't want to be the poor Latina girl who won the heart of a billionaire. I don't want to be anyone's charity case or redemption story." "Then what do you want?" She met his eyes directly. "I want to be seen as your equal. I want respect before romance. I want you to understand that if we do this, if we try, it can't be you swooping in to save me. It has to be both of us, choosing each other, despite everything." 6 months later, Isadora stood in her new nursing scrubs outside East Los Angeles Community Hospital. First day of her clinical rotation. She'd finished her certification 3 weeks earlier, top of her class. The hospital had offered her a position in their emergency department starting immediately. No connections, no special favors. Just merit, hard work, and the steady determination that had carried her through everything. Her phone buzzed. A text from Khaled. "Good luck today. Remember, you've already survived harder things than anything they'll throw at you. Proud of you. K." They'd been seeing each other cautiously, building something real on foundation of mutual respect rather than dramatic gestures. He'd invested in a scholarship program for underprivileged youth, the Lewis Foundation, named after her mother. Not rescue, recognition. Isadora had insisted on keeping her apartment in Boyle Heights, maintaining her independence even as their relationship deepened. They argued sometimes about his instinct to fix everything, her fear of becoming dependent, the vast differences in their backgrounds. But they argued honestly, without walls. Lucas was thriving at his recording internship. Marina had been accepted into a STEM program at UCLA with a full scholarship. The media attention had eventually faded, replaced by newer scandals and shinier stories. After her shift, Isadora found Khaled waiting outside the hospital in his car. Not the Mercedes, the Toyota he'd bought specifically for blending in during visits to her neighborhood. "How was it?" he asked as she slid into the passenger seat. Exhausting, terrifying, absolutely perfect. She grinned. I helped save someone's life today. He reached over and took her hand, calluses against his softer skin, two different worlds finding common ground. I have something for you, he said, pulling a folder from the back seat. The Foundation's first scholarship recipients, 12 students, full rides to nursing programs across California. Isadora opened the folder, seeing faces and names of young people who looked like her, who came from neighborhoods like hers, who dreamed of healing. This isn't charity, Khaled said quickly. This is investment in people who already have courage. We're just removing obstacles. She looked at him, really looked, past the expensive watch and the tailored clothes to the man who'd learned to listen, who'd stumbled and apologized and shown up anyway. I love you, she said simply. His breath caught. You've never said that before. Because I needed to be sure that you saw me as I am, not as you wanted me to be. Sure that I wasn't confusing gratitude with love. Sure that we were choosing each other, not rescuing each other. Khaled leaned across the center console, pressing his forehead against hers. I love you too, exactly as you are. Sharp edges, fierce pride, and all. Outside, Los Angeles continued its eternal rhythm. Inside the car, two people from impossible different worlds built something that belonged only to them. Not a fairy tale, but something better. A partnership rooted in truth, respect, and the understanding that real wealth isn't measured in money. It's measured in courage. And they both had more than enough to last a lifetime.